If you like what you watch, then don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates on The More Show. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new weekly television and radio shows.
Welcome back. I'm now joined by author of Return from the Void, Joanna Knight. Now, based on her personal experiences, clinical hypnotherapist and stress consultant Joanna set a mission to research the human ability to face adversity. Now, whatever the challenge is, it's her belief that it can be overcome with dignity, resourcefulness, courage, and even success. So, Joanna, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, Joanna, you can identify with Pat and Dave's story, can't you?
Yes, totally, yeah.
And I mean, just tell us a bit about background about yourself to begin with, and we'll sort of come back to Pat and Dave as well.
Basically, I went through a very tough time about 8-9 years ago and ended up not planning to, but losing everything in my life. It was a bit like a domino effect. Everything had fallen away from me. I lost both my children, my home, my job, my friends. It was all over time, over a number of years, but once it started, it began to gather up speed, and it all happened fairly quickly. I had several deaths in the family. I had loss in every sense of the word. Yeah. I found myself homeless at one point, so eventually the final thing was to go was my health as well. So yeah, it was quite a stressful time.
So how did you turn that all around, and what are you doing today?
Right, turning around, one's life doesn't happen overnight. We have to be patient sometimes, which is a hard lesson to learn. Everybody wants things instantly today, but I keep saying to people the only thing that's instant is coffee.
Or Amazon.
Or Amazon.
Yeah.
It's just really keeping your eye on the goal, knowing where you want to go, knowing where you want to head. I took one day at a time. I used to write little life plans out for myself, and just using a lot of visualization work. Around that time I also studied philosophy, psychology, found myself studying stress consultancy, finally clinical hypnotherapy. So, yeah.
So with Pat and Dave's story, I mean, you know, it's incredible what they've done.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
the strength that they found to even be doing what they're doing today. I mean, it's being true to themselves. Mm-hmm. It's honouring their feelings.
Yeah.
And it's doing what they truly believe they should be doing.
Yes.
And you can't be any more, you know, honest to yourself than, and respectful to yourself than that, and to Adam as well. But is it not a case as well, like what I was saying to David, you know, about forgiving as well? I mean, this whole forgiving thing, should we forgive, do you think?
I think forgiveness is never a bad thing. When clients come to me and they've been through a tough time, it's different. You can't forget what's happened. That's the first thing. But what you can do is take the lesson from it, which is what Pat and Dave have done, which is a really good thing. Secondly, it's removing the pain. Why should you suffer? Why should you continue suffering because of one individual? So it's just removing the pain, and sometimes that can be done through internal processes, sometimes external processes such as therapy, and sometimes just being proactive and taking the action like Pat and Dave have taken to seek some sort of comfort and make some kind of sense from what's happened.
Well, yeah. I mean, what they're doing as well, you know, to be educating the young as well about consequences. Yeah. That's so important, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I suppose you've got to let go and move forward, and that's the one thing that your book, Return from the Void, which I've gone through as well, you know, does touch on. Yeah,
it's really living up to challenge, living beyond fear. There's a lot of people. I mean, the opposite feeling to love is fear. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of people are living in fear nowadays. And, you know, sometimes it's fear for not appearing tough enough, fear for not joining in. Yeah. My daughter's just, interestingly enough, been diagnosed with an alcohol allergy, so she can't drink, and due to an illness that she has. And a lot of her friends have dropped her because she's not valid as being able to have fun anymore, which is a shame.
Well, it's like you said, it's fear. You know, most people come from fear, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, that's such a good point. But you know, through whatever adversity that you've gone through, and especially in Dave and Pat's case, you know, you've got to stay strong, haven't you?
You have to stay strong, I think, for yourself, and the best way to do that is just to have a focus, Kevin, and be able to have a goal there. And if you can keep that goal in mind, even if you have a journal at night and you can write down your feelings, how you feel, what you're aiming for, even cut out visual stimulants like pictures, you know, watch uplifting movies, you know, film therapy, music therapy. There's lots of different ways that we can motivate ourselves, and that's what's needed, is a bit of motivation.
And do you think it's like, you know, like you said before, you know, you have to live with positive intention, don't you, as well?
Yes, yeah. Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
for yourself and as much as anyone else.
Yeah, it's a case of either sink or swim, and it got me to thinking when I went through my challenging times, why is it that some people tend to sink and others swim? Got me really thinking about that whole concept, and it does come from within. You just have to dig deep.
Do you think there's a point sometimes where we just let go, where we, you know, move on? And we don't even know we've moved on in a sense, but you know, the sort of life's moved on. You've gone with the flow more.
Yeah, I think people tend to forget, don't they? They're in their little comfort zone and they don't want to step outside of that comfort zone. Unfortunately, the nature of the universe, the nature of life, is constant change and evolution. We're constantly moving. In reality, nothing actually stands still. So how, therefore, can we really expect change to not come along and bite us in the bum every now and again when we're least expecting it? And that is part of learning and growing.
Yeah, yeah. And going back to yourself with your story then, I mean, what was the first initial steps that you made to change yourself?
I think it was asking a lot of honest questions that I didn't really want to look at about myself and answer, but I had to put my hands up and admit where I'd been wrong. Look at things, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? But there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you don't continue to carry the burden and beat yourself up, there's no point in doing that. As I say, I think in the first chapter of the book, it's what is a mistake? People seem to be very scared of making mistakes today. MPs, oh, it wasn't me, it was this person here. Nobody will say, well, actually, it was me. I've made a mistake, okay, I'm human. It's okay to make a mistake, that's how you learn. And nobody, let's face it, gets up in the morning and says, oh, I know, I'm going to ruin somebody's life today. I'm going to kill someone today. I'm going to ruin my life. Nobody has that intention when they get out of bed in the morning. It's an unfolding of events that happen. As I say, nothing ever stops. There is movement always. And
I mean, with Billy Upton, then, I mean, I wonder, you know, how he lives with his life right now. I mean, I mean, like you say, I mean, if you've made a mistake and you are sorry for what you've done, it must be difficult though to, I mean, how do you, if someone's made a mistake, how do they move on from that? Does it start with forgiving yourself first?
I think that's a tough one, forgiving yourself. If you look at a mistake with all honesty and you take what you can from learning that very tough lesson, you know, one would hope that he's looked at that lesson and thought, well, obviously, I'm not going to do that again, no way. We'll spread the word, we'll spread messages to others, having learnt his own mistakes. And it could be a rebirth of a person. Quite often, it can be a complete rebirth of a person. It can turn them around, they can start doing good deeds, and they can spread that word. It's quite contagious. Once one person's
so are you
got
saying,
that,
had he not gone through this, then there may be a bigger change? That
there could have been a bigger shift at a deeper level than we could even comprehend.
But taking responsibility is important, though. I mean, he never took responsibility for his actions that night. No. There was no consequences as far as he was concerned.
No.
And that's so important, isn't it? You have to take responsibility.
You do.
You know, we're so used to just, you know, others to be responsible for us, aren't we? You can see those patterns in everyday life. You know, it's not my fault. You know, it's not. I'm not to blame. You know, I'm not responsible for it. But you are. Wherever you are in your life, you're responsible for where you are now.
Yes.
Take charge, and you give yourself the power back, don't you?
You do. I mean, if you're in a bad place, people find it hard to accept. They say, well, no, I didn't ask for this. But in a way, we are kind of where our choices and the people that we meet have led us.
Did you find yourself saying that to yourself, perhaps, that you were responsible for where you got to?
That's a tough one, yeah, and to have to face up to that's a tough truth, but it is true. It's also short-termism. We don't tend to look beyond here. If we look at the bigger picture, it will give us a chance to actually step back and think, well, hang on a minute, before I say this, before I do that, let's think a bit further down the line. Unfortunately, not all problems can be dealt with short-term. No,
they can't, and there's never an easy answer to some things, except if we came from a bit more love, it would be a different world. If we just tread each other, knowing that, you know, that we're all connected in a sense, that there's no separation, imagine the world.
Amazing.
It'd be changed in 10 years, it would.
Amazing, and good feeling. There's a doctor, Dr. David Hamilton, I believe, who's actually proven that feelings and words are actually contagious.
We are family, yeah, we are if we treat each other like family, most of these things would never take place.
That's right.
But yet we see separation in all of us. We see us as separate from each other, yet there's no separation really.
No.
Well, how can people find out more about your work as well?
You can have a look on my website, www.firstsuccess.com, that's 1st success.com. And you'll find me there, or again, it's www.returnfromthevoid.co.uk.
Joanna, thank you so much for joining us today. For more information on today's show, visit my website, themoreshow.co.uk, and don't forget you can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter to get the latest updates on the show. So until next time, thanks for watching. Don't forget you can also hear The More Show Late Night Talk on various FM stations across the UK. Check The More Show website for station listings.
If you like what you watch, then don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates on The More Show. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new weekly television and radio shows.